Welcome back to my channel for sales around of special vehicles. This video you'll see episode 29 destroyed in seconds, where two dirt car crashes. Several cars has gone round racing. The yellow one was accidentally flips over and two times. A person died after the giant explosion. A house drowns, touches the house, and then touches the bridge. An uncontrollable plane hits the several people, and a bandit stolen red pickup truck and crashes, ending the chase. Let's watch the video on episode 29. Now I get exhausted and I shake my body. So be patient, don't be scared.
Pits. Over the next half hour, you'll see some of the most awesome scenes of destruction ever captured on camera. Hundreds flee in terror after a gas leak ignites a fireball that obliterates 8 apartment buildings. And a daredevil crashes his ATV while performing a risky backflip that nearly ends his career. Sit back, buckle up, hold on, because things are about to get destroyed in seconds. New Jersey, just after midnight. A fire erupts at an asphalt plant located next door to the Durham Woods apartment complex, forcing residents from their homes. John Seaton documents the drama as his neighbors are evacuated from their apartments.
Residents of Durham Woods, please evacuate your apartments immediately.
Residents suspect that the asphalt plant has caught fire, but the situation is far more dangerous than they realize. A natural gas pipeline buried under the asphalt plant grounds has burst open and ignited. Just when everyone is sure they've seen the worst. The gas line explodes into a massive fireball. The resulting inferno is so massive that within 15 minutes, 911 operators received more than 50,000 calls. John and a friend decide to move to safer ground, but they keep the camera rolling.
Okay, now we're trying to exit the complex.
Meanwhile, the blaze is fought on the ground and in the air. So what caused one of the largest pipeline explosions in U.S. history? Investigators believe a backhoe dented the underground pipe years before, causing cracks to form. An 80-foot section of pipe finally ruptured, setting off the inferno. An hour after the fire starts, workers are able to shut off the flow of the natural gas. Daylight reveals the extent of the devastation. The explosion creates a 75-foot deep crater. The fire is finally out. But the effects will be felt for years. 8 apartment buildings in the adjacent complex are destroyed, leaving 128 people homeless. 10 people are injured, but to the surprise of everyone, no one loses their life in the flames. It's moving opening day for a piece of history. A 118-year-old firehouse is slated for relocation to make room for a highway widening project in Peekskill, New York. The plan is to turn the historic building into a fire station museum across town. The city spends $150,000 preparing for the big move. Workers are in the process of slowly rotating the building, which is supported on hydraulic lifts. When a small shower of debris falls from the upper rear corner, the move is halted. Workers go under the building to inspect the lifts, unaware that one of the devices is about to malfunction. One of the hydraulic lifts supporting the left rear of the building fails, causing it to pitch sideways and collapse. Here's the view from a surveillance camera across the street. As the 1890 brick building comes crashing down, construction workers flee for safety. There's momentary confusion while each worker is accounted for.
Where is your gun? Got out. It's over there.
Everybody's counted for, right?
Despite the destruction, no one is hurt. With their plans for a museum dashed, city officials decide to use the firehouse's nameplate, cornerstone, and some of its bricks to build a monument to the historic building. As a member of the Daredevil freestyle team, the Bomb Squad, Chris Gagnon is used to wowing crowds by pushing the limits on his ATV. For weeks, Chris has been training for a trick only one other stunt rider has pulled off, a backflip on his ATV. The foam pit acts as Chris's safety net as he teaches himself how to flip and land safely.
That's how we do it, boss.
Once Chris feels he's got the stunt down, he's ready to attempt it ramp to ramp. His landing is a bit shaky, but he pulls it off.
Oh, dude, that scared the out of me, man.
Performing with the Bomb Squad, Chris successfully completes the stunt twice in the United States. Now he's ready to dazzle audiences in Great Britain, who have never seen a trick like this before. 80,000 fans flock to Britain's West Coast for the annual Weston Beach Race. All eyes are on Chris as he attempts this jump for the first time outside the United States. 29-year-old freestyle rider Chris Gagnon has been practicing for weeks to perfect the spectacular yet risky stunt on his ATV. Pulling off a backflip. Now he's ready to dazzle a European crowd. At the Weston Beach Race in the west of England, where Chris's freestyle riding team, the Bomb Squad, is performing. Moments before Chris's jump, a light rain dampens the track, the landing ramp, and his ATV. With a break in the weather, Chris decides to go for it. Just as he takes flight, Chris pulls back on his handlebars, but his hands slip off the wet grips. Roughly 40 feet in the air, Chris bails out of the jump by simply letting go. Man and machine fall to the top of the ramp. Chris slams down, and his ATV slams him. Even if Chris's grip hadn't slipped, he never had enough speed to clear the jump. The rain had dampened the dirt on his approach, slowing him down. Medics rush to Chris's aid, and he's taken to the hospital. He suffers just a sprained wrist from the fall, but the tumbling ATV breaks his leg. After this mishap, Chris never attempts the backflip again. Since then, only 4 other riders have achieved this stunt. Floods are among the most frequent and costly of natural disasters. In the United States, property damage from flooding averages roughly $17 billion a year. On New Year's Day, 1997, torrential rains and melting snow in Imnaha, Oregon, caused the local river to overflow its banks. President John Howerton is out capturing the floodwaters with his camera.
Coming out onto the road here.
Everywhere, there are signs of the water's destructive power as it tears away and undercuts the riverbank. John stops to record footage of a house overtaken by the river. He wanders onto a small concrete bridge to get a closer view of the muddy torrent and debris. The home's foundation is being battered by the raging current, its structural integrity weakening by the moment. Suddenly, the house begins to move. Electrical wires snap. Seconds later, the entire structure is ripped off its foundation. The still intact house floats down the river directly towards the same bridge where Howerton stood just moments earlier. Off the roof, while the rest of the structure is crushed by the water's force. What's left is pulled downstream. Thankfully, the house is unoccupied.
And away they go, the Blue.
England's historic Donington Park racetrack. They've been racing here since the 1930s, making this one of the oldest motor speedways in the world. Today's main event is the TVR Tuscan Challenge, featuring TVR brand sports cars, which are hand-built to each owner's specifications. These lightweight racers can reach 160 miles an hour.
To green and away we go. Everybody.
The first 4 laps are marred by several accidents.
Oh, and a spinner further back. This is really turning into a chaotic first lap. Steve Cole in the middle of the track.
The accidents are minor until the 5th lap.
Oh my goodness me, Troy Dunlop over the back of Richard Stanton's car.
As Troy Dunlop tries to move up, his bumper snags another car, and he's sent spinning.
Well, he's clearly been knocked senseless by that incident.
The track announcer sums it up.
Let's take a look from the reverse angle. Dunlop goes over the back of Stanton's car as the front wheels of his car are caught, flips into a roll, and then digs in the soft earth, barrel rolls itself into destruction. Driver's eye view now, courtesy of Andy Britnell. Twice as frightening this.
The driver who got hit is okay, but Troy is unconscious.
Well, he's clearly been knocked senseless by that incident. This will certainly be a red flag, I'm sure, as the marshals will try and rescue Troy Dunlop.
A short time later, Troy regains consciousness. Thanks to his roll cage, he escapes serious injury. As for his $100,000 race car, it's a total loss.
Oh my goodness me, Troy Dunlop over the back of Richard.
A helicopter follows the 2 suspects in an allegedly stolen vehicle. Minutes later, officers from the highway patrol take up the chase. The suspects try to outrun the police. They swerve in and out of lanes, nearly colliding with other cars. Hoping to lose the police on surface streets, they exit the freeway. When their plan fails, they get right back on. As the speed increases, so does the danger.
And he just rear-ended a white vehicle and continued to drive away.
The struck motorist is uninjured and moves out of the way. The chase crosses state lines into Missouri. The fleeing driver shows no signs of slowing down as he flies straight through intersections.
And he's running red lights, no one's behind him. Just swerving back and forth in lanes.
It's not long before the suspects are tearing through a small neighborhood. It's there that the driver loses control. The vehicle crosses an intersection and hits a bump. The 4,000-pound vehicle flies through the air and hits a parked car.
One person crawling out of the vehicle, black jacket and blue jeans.
5 stolen auto, parties in custody, mass and fire en route.
The suspects face charges for tampering and resisting arrest. Neither they nor anyone else involved is injured. An airplane enthusiast checks out a vintage plane at the Mangalore Air Show when his attention is suddenly diverted. A homemade ultra-bad airplane is out of control and no one can stop it. The pilotless plane crosses the infield and heads straight for spectators. It's a spring day at the Mangalore Air Show. A pilot is starting his ultra-bad airplane when it gets away from him with no one at the controls. The aircraft takes off across the tarmac and heads directly for the crowd. Some spectators run for cover, as others are left helpless, wondering how to stop this out-of-control plane. By sheer luck, the Ultrabat crashes into a parked plane. The nightmare is over. As the runaway plane reaches the crowd, it makes a sudden right turn, hitting a young woman from behind and knocking her unconscious. As the plane circles back around, the woman's grandfather dives on top of her to shield her from another impact. Within minutes, emergency crews arrive. The woman suffers a gash across her face and a concussion, but her injuries aren't life-threatening. The pilot attributes the accident to a stuck gear, which caused the plane to take off while the engine was being primed. This is the first accident in the air show's 17-year history. Since 1963, the Delaware International Speedway has played host to a class of race cars called dirt modifieds. Today, 8 of these 800 horsepower vehicles compete on the clay track at speeds reaching 90 miles per hour. Out of a turn, one of the drivers loses control. As the driver of car 6 tries to recover from a skid, he clips car 55. Car 55 rams car 54 into the wall. John Keller in car 54 careens toward the bleachers. Luckily, a safety fence and post stops Keller from landing in the stands. Emergency crews rush to the scene. Keller is trapped beneath the 2,500-pound vehicle.
Yeah, he's still in the floor.
A tow truck is brought in to help the crew gently flip the vehicle over.
Ricky, down the floor.
Rescuers carefully move Keller to a stretcher. He's rushed by ambulance to an awaiting helicopter, then airlifted to a nearby hospital. Keller's $60,000 dirt modified is a total loss. He suffers a concussion, a bruised lung, bruised ribs, and a broken arm. Despite his injuries, Keller continues racing. Tikrit, Iraq. The U.S. Army and Iraqi security forces are preparing to destroy a cache of weapons confiscated from insurgents. Rocket-propelled grenades, mortar shells, and improvised explosive devices, or IEDs, are loaded into a dugout pit. Eliminating IEDs, which can be made from a propane tank like this, is critical. These devices are responsible for nearly 40% of coalition casualties in Iraq. The stockpile will be detonated using a crystalline solid explosive called RDX. Ignites and obliterates the cache. All that remains is a cloud of smoke across the desert landscape. Thanks to combined efforts of U.S. military and Iraqi security forces, these seized weapons are history. I'm Ron Pitts. Thanks for watching Destroyed in Seconds.
Man, that show is amazing. I never had that when I was a kid. I watched Destroy Second episode 29 into the plane without a pilot. The Buffalo plane crashes on the previous episode. Was a previous episode on episode 28. There's a Buffalo plane crash, and this episode was the missing pilot crashes into the patients, people in the air show. Let's hear about space and time until we end the episode. I didn't stress out that episode. This one was fun. I'm gonna exercise. I'm gonna fly out at your wave, onto the desert, and into the Mesa Playa. We'll see you next time for Jose's Random Special Vehicles.